All right, lady, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
We're on the record in cause number M2059752, the state of Texas versus Michael Adorno. This is a hearing for purposes of the defendant entering an agreed plea. Therefore, the state of Texas has waived its appearance. The court is appearing over Zoom video conference along with the court's court reporter, the court's probation officer, defense attorney Frank Sellers, who is also appearing on Zoom on behalf of Michael Adorno, the defendant, also appearing on Zoom. We're live streaming on YouTube in compliance with the public courts laws. Mr. Adorno, if you will please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Are you Michael Adorno?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is your date of birth?
March 2nd, 1971.
Did you agree that we conduct your plea over Zoom video conference?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand what you're charged with today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand the range of punishment?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you discussed your rights with your lawyer?
Yes.
Do you want to have a trial?
No, Your Honor.
Are you a United States citizen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, do you believe your client is mentally competent?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Adorno, what is your plea?
A no contest?
I accept your plea of no contest, find you guilty of this offense, sentence you to 180 days in jail, probated for 24 months, also assessing a $500 fine plus court costs. As long as you meet your probation conditions, you'll be able to stay out of jail in your case. And I will give you 4 days back time credit to help cover your $500 fine and court costs. Do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Sellers, do you have anything you want to add at this time?
yes, if I may, if the court would recall, Mr. Adorno has posted 2 cash bonds in this case of $1,500 each. And I notice in probation condition number 20, if he pays fines and court costs up front, that the court would waive his community service requirement. Is it possible to pay those out of his cash bond refund?
I'm not sure of the administrative details of the jail forwarding cash bonds to cover court costs and fines. So I mean, that's certainly possible, I would imagine.
Right.
But I'm not sure if they're going to want to refund it to the defendant and then he has to pay them, or if they can roll it over in some sense.
Okay. And I guess.
But the clerks would be able to answer that question. My clerks.
Okay, great.
Do you have their phone number?
If I could get it from you.
Okay.
I'm ready when you are.
214-653-5610.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
And then on condition number 21, it's a condition for an interlock device. And this kind of coincides with my other issue. Mr. Adorno has Michael Sean in the morning from the K104 morning show. And because of this arrest, they have not renewed his contract in December. And so he is currently interviewing and looking for a new job, but his radio DJ days in Dallas at least appear to be over. He has 3 children, a 16 and 2 15-year-old twin daughters that live in New Jersey, and he goes back and forth like every other weekend to see them and his fiance. And so the court had put him both on an in-home and the initial interlock that he was on. We were just going to request that he's had no violations on either of them since he was rearrested, especially, and then before we had just technicals. We would ask that he be on at least on just the in-home so that he can save some of the expense while he's searching for a job and trying to travel back and forth to see his fiance and 3 daughters.
What are the circumstances under which an interlock was required on bond? Is this a 0.15 or higher case?
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Okay, but he hasn't been charged as such. Is that right? Or has he?
That's right. It was a second. They enhanced it as a second DWI.
Okay, let me look at my docket sheet.
And we know he has to have one or the other. I was just hoping we could just do the in-home.
Well, the issue, this is a DWI second. The issue with this is that he has to have a device on his vehicle. by law. Okay, so as long as he owns and operates a vehicle, he's going to have a device. And do we know when the first DWI conviction was?
I believe it was back in 2015.
Okay, so let me just tell you this: if your client has 2 DWIs convictions within 5 years, he will have to maintain an interlock on his vehicle for 1 year after the most recent license suspension is lifted.
Right.
So he's going to get a license suspension as a result of today's conviction, correct?
Not as a result of, since he's going on to probation, he should not. He also has an occupational license.
Well, because he's a DWI second, I believe there's a mandatory suspension of his license.
The prosecution in our plea agreement waived the enhancement. So he's pleading to DPS. It looks like a first.
Okay, let me verify that. Look at the plea paperwork. I was looking for a motion. So in the plea paperwork that I received, ultimately from you, counsel, the state sends it to you, you and your client signed it, and then it gets sent to my coordinator and or myself.
Right.
Looking at that plea paperwork, I do not see a motion to strike the paragraph of the information involving a prior conviction.
That wouldn't have been in our plea paperwork, but she did file it, and it's in the terms and conditions as part of the plea bargain.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but typically when I do pleas, the district attorney sends me the motion to strike as part of the plea paperwork. So, who's your DA on this case?
Megan, it's like Bisaka.
Okay.
I'll get with her and get her.
Yeah, she needs to send me that motion because I have, as the court entering the plea, right, signing all these documents, I have no reason right now, other than you telling me from the operation of the actual paperwork that the state intends to reduce this to a DWI first. I have no evidence of that in the documentation that I'm signing, which remember the court has to sign their request to strike that second paragraph of the information,
right,
making this a DWI first. If I don't sign that, it's not going to happen.
Okay. Is the court indicating that if it receives one, it does not intend to sign it?
No, what I'm indicating is that I have not received it. So therefore it's not getting signed until I receive it.
I'll be sure to follow up and keep following up until you receive it.
Okay. Mr. Jackson, do you have anything you want to add?
No, Your Honor. Probation has no further questions.
Looking at this plea agreement once again, just to be clear, it does have an interlock as a requirement. Okay, so I'm going to require that on the vehicle.
Okay, is he free to not have the in-home then?
If he has the interlock on his vehicle, then why would he need a second device unless you all agreed to that?
We didn't agree. The court required it because when he went out of town, he was having, every other weekend he wasn't blowing. And so the court saw that fit to revoke his bond.
Okay, well, is that going to be a similar situation when he goes on probation?
Well, he's hoping he doesn't have to move to New Jersey, but come February, if he can't find work, then he may have to. So we may be looking at a whole nother set of circumstances at that point. And I don't know how this court handles those situations in terms of posting bonds or what have you.
Well, what I would say for now, we're going to have the interlock device required. Mr. Adorno is going to need to blow in it on a regular basis, which is usually 4 to 6 times a day at a minimum.
Right.
And then in the event that circumstances change, you can reapproach the court on those issues. And obviously I will reconsider them.
Well, he's supposed to leave to go to New Jersey tomorrow to see his children and go for Christmas.
Okay.
So it's like it really is like every other weekend. And then of course on the holidays.
Okay. And that is the reason why he had both. Well, he had an in-home device. So he doesn't have a vehicle device right now.
No, he does. He has both.
Okay. So, Mr. Adorno, I'm not, trying to be difficult here, but you were arrested for and accused of a second DWI. The state, by operation of law, is going to agree to have it go down on paper like it's a DWI first. But in actuality, because you have that first conviction, you now are going to have 2 DWI convictions.
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And for purposes of what I'm doing, what I do in this court, you have 2 DWIs.
Yes.
You can continue to travel. I remember your case now. This was brought to my attention by the Pretrial Services Division with the fact that, and it was repeatedly brought to my attention, that you weren't blowing because you were going to visit your kids on the weekends. I understand that, but your requirement is not going to be waived because of the life circumstances that you choose to engage in. Does that make sense? Because every other person that has an interlock device requirement is not excused from blowing into their device every other weekend when they go visit their kids. I don't excuse that. So while your attorney is asking me, well, does he actually need the in-home? As long as you're going to continue to come off the radar, if you will, every other weekend because you're not driving your vehicle, then yes, you're going to have that portable device.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, while you're on probation, the court is supervising you. The probation department is an arm of the court that assists the court in supervising you. If you have an issue that arises, it would behoove you to contact the court's probation officer, Mr. Jackson, and discuss whatever the issue is, either directly or through your attorney, because if you come back in violation status, it's not going to be good for you. And if there's an opportunity to explain, hey, I didn't do this, hey, I had to drop everything and run over here to go tend to my children. Don't let it be that we find out after the fact, after you get a warrant and you get arrested, have to bond out again. Stay in communication, and your lawyer can approach the court at any time to address any of these ongoing issues. But for right now, as long as you're going to choose, to be traveling every other weekend, we still have to monitor you on those weekends you're out of town.
Yes. I understand, Your Honor.
Okay.
If I may, Michael, did I cover everything we talked about?
Yes. Yes, we covered everything. I had it written down. On probation in the future. I just have one quick question. With the portable, which I don't mind, I totally understand, Your Honor. Would it be possible if I just did the portable when I did travel, or does it have to be? I'm just asking. To me, it doesn't. I'll do it either way.
So currently, you've been using the portable all the time, every day, blowing into it?
Yes. So I wake up in the morning, I do the portable, and then I go to the car and I blow, and then I do the windows for the portable, and then I make sure I'm at least blowing 4 times a day in my vehicle, even if I'm not driving.
I'm not sure how the Pretrial Services Division is going to work that out. Because what if you're not traveling one weekend and then you don't blow into the portable, and then they contact me again saying he's violating again, Judge? You have to understand, I have like 1,500 people on devices, and every time somebody doesn't follow it, they email me.
Right. I understand.
So your best bet is to follow the instructions of the Pretrial Division. And now it's no longer, it's going to be probation department, because we're transitioning into probation rather than pretrial monitoring, right? So then you need to follow the directions. Your situation is unique, and we're trying to accommodate you.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm sorry, it may be a little inconvenient to be blowing into a whole bunch of times in 2 different devices. I'm sorry, but that's in exchange for you to be able to travel basically as you please, which some folks aren't even allowed to travel on probation. So we are trying to accommodate your situation. It's important for you to see your kids. I totally understand that and took that into consideration this whole time this has been going on. Okay.
Yes.
but you got to just kind of take it as it is and
Yes,
just
Your Honor.
do what you need to do. This too shall pass. This probation will be over soon. I mean, you know, in the
Mhm.
grand scheme, and then you can move on with your life, but you just have to do what you have to do in order to keep having the lifestyle that you want to have.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
And Sean, is both devices going to be listed in the probation conditions?
Your Honor, that's what I was going to ask right. Well, that's what I had to say right now, Your Honor. I initially sent the attorney and the client the conditions without the portable device because probation was not aware of both devices being required. I am now modifying the conditions to include both devices. So he will have a condition 21 for interlock and 22 for the portable device. I will then email the attorney and the client for both devices. And then I'll just shred the prior conditions that he signed, I think today or yesterday.
Okay.
So yes, he will have both devices ordered 21 and 22.
Okay, so you will need to review and sign those conditions. Counsel and your client.
Yes, Your Honor, and I've emailed the prosecutor also about the motion to strike. So we'll get that all taken care of and get with your clerk about the refund of the cash bond and paying all the fees.
Sounds good. All right. If
Thank you, Your
there's
Honor.
nothing further, then we can go off the record.